My name is Chris Stieber. I've been flying my whole life. Started as a teenager. I was one of those little kids who was fascinated by airplanes and simply never grew out of it. So sometimes I worry that I'm too one-dimensional. It could be because my vocation and avocation is aviation, but that's the way I am. And I didn't understand for a long time that I was fortunate to have a calling, to have a passion for something. I thought everybody did. I'm currently a captain on the 787 for United Airlines for 99 more days when I hit the mandatory retirement age.
Chris was not a small baby by any means, and when he was 3 or 4 years old, he was growing taller than the rest of the kids his age, and he was worried by then that he would be too tall to fit into the cockpit because he wanted to be a pilot.
When I got my brother in 1959, Barbie had just been invented. I was 6. And I was sure that I was going to get a Barbie in a stewardess uniform for Christmas. Instead, I got a brother. When he was still pretty young and we had moved closer to town, but still just out in unincorporated county, there was a field pretty close by. And we were pretty sure that Chris had an FBI file because he was launching rockets in one of the fields nearby. He always wanted to be in the sky. So I didn't get a stewardess, but I ended up getting a pilot for a brother.
It was fun growing up, you know. I had protectors all my life growing up because I had 2 very large brothers that took care of me. One was very wild, and then there was Chris, who, you know, did very well in school and went on to college, which we're very proud of. The rest of us decided a different route, but, you know, Chris, ever since I can remember, I'm going to fly planes.
So the first memory I have of Chris being a pilot was when he graduated from Embry-Riddle, and I was just a little girl. We went to his graduation in Daytona Beach. At the time, we lived in Florida, and so it was a big deal. We went down for his graduation. I remember staying in a hotel, and I remember the graduation ceremony itself. Very impressive, and it definitely burned a memory in my brain as to how important graduating from college was, and just being proud of Chris for being a pilot. And I've always bragged that I had a cousin who was a pilot, who was a captain. It's my memory, my first memory of him.
And from there, you're going to hear all kinds of stories of what he did, and I can't add to too many of them, but he loves flying, and we were fortunate enough to be able to help him get there.
I started off, when I got out of college, there was no pilot hiring going on at all. When I finished high school in 78, graduated college in 81, and I think Delta hired 2 pilots that year. So in other words, it was a pretty slow time, but I felt really fortunate to get a job as an airline dispatcher at a small airline in Denver called Rocky Mountain Airways. They flew to the ski areas, primarily like Aspen, Steamboat, Vail, a few other places. I worked there for a year, and then my college roommate found a flying job for me in the Buffalo, New York area. And my first duty there was flying a Cessna with 3 guys from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and we counted ducks from the air. So we counted ducks on the water from the air. And we'd do that, you know, as approaching hunting season, we'd do it like once a week, and then as it got closer, every other day, and then during hunting season, sometimes twice a day. And you would fly over a group of ducks on the water, and I would circle over them, and they would count them. And I got to the point where I could look down at the water too and say 75 canvasbacks. And so, but that's what I started with. That company, that first company in Buffalo, primarily did freight, auto parts during the day, and canceled checks at night. I did that there for a couple of years, and got fired from that job for refusing to fly broken airplanes, but got hired by another operator that had really good equipment, and ended up flying there. Found out I hit a glass ceiling of a sorts, since I wasn't at that or local to that company, hadn't grown up there. They were afraid that I would take training on a Learjet and come back to Colorado with that Learjet type rating. So they wouldn't train me. So I just as well thought, well, I'd just as well leave. And I came back to Denver for another freight job, and that freight job went sour in a big hurry. I asked all the right questions in the interview, and they lied to me. But one day I was dropping off an airplane and on a Saturday in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, and I caught the Rocky Mountain Airways flight back to Denver, and the captain recognized me from my days in dispatch, and he told me that the chief pilot was taking resumes for a new class. And I said, really? And he said, are you interested? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I'm off tomorrow, but I'm working Monday. If you bring a resume over to my house tomorrow, I'll walk it in for you Monday morning. He obviously did, because the chief pilot called me on Tuesday. I interviewed on Thursday, and he hired me Friday. About a year later, Continental's parent company, Texas Air, bought Rocky Mountain, so I became part of Continental that way. And then Continental and United merged in 2010.
Hi, I'm Bob Danielson. I'm a retired airline pilot. I worked for Rocky Mountain Airways, Continental Airlines, and retired from United in 2016. When I met him as a dispatcher for Rocky Mountain, I was a former dispatcher, so I kind of understood his job. Then he left, and then he came back and started flying in 1985. And actually, we were roommates. He came and lived with me in a house, and then I bought another house, and he moved to that house, and then he stayed there until he got married. That's where our friendship built from.
I'm Mark Emus, retired airline pilot, flew for Rocky Mountain Airways, Continental Airlines, and United Airlines. Retired in 2019. Where did I meet Chris? Rocky Mountain Airways, back in 1987 I started. Chris was already there. At that time, I think he was probably one or two classes ahead of him. Flew with Chris a few times. Being junior, I had to yank gear for him. Very regimented pilot, very direct, kind of scary at first when you first met him.
My name is David Sen. I'm currently a 787 captain out of Denver and about 3 months from retirement myself. When and where did I first meet Chris? I was a check airman at Rocky Mountain Airways on the Twin Otter, and I trained Chris when he was a new hire there.
My name is Larry Denton. I was a pilot for Rocky Mountain Airways. I went to work for Rocky 1969 and retired a little over 36 years later out of Continental Express. I was hired as a line pilot and flew the line, and I spent a period of time as chief pilot, which was a big mistake. And then I went back to the line and finished out on the line. I remember when I first saw him, he was in dispatch, but I don't remember what year it was. It's been 40 years or better, as far as I know.
Kind of kept me in line because he was a straight shooter guy, and I was kind of a wild man in those days, and he was always my guiding light, you might say. Really helped me a lot. And he's always been that way to me. He's always been the guy that I try to be like, even though he's much younger than me.
Chris was dedicated to his work. You could just tell by how he carried himself, how he thought about a flight should be run, very direct, forthright on how he wants things to be done.
He's always just been so intent on being the best pilot he could be, being the best brother he could be, being the best person he could be. And I think he's succeeded so well, he's made all of us really proud.
It's always been his passion, and to hold on to it for this long is amazing. It's very proud of my brother.
I like that it's a challenge. So, there's a lot to like, a lot of different challenges, but there's always a challenge. Even if you fly the same flight on consecutive days, it's going to be different. There's going to be a different maintenance issue. There will be weather issues. There will be something that's different. So it's not routine. There's always a challenge, and it's virtually always a different one from one day to the next. I mean, the actual flying, and again, that comes back to challenges. I like those challenges. So, yeah, there's some really great people. Most everybody is really awesome to work with. Worked with some amazingly talented and tremendously experienced people. I work with a lot of Air Force Academy grads, and some of them are very, very accomplished, like, an Air Force Thunderbird or, that kind of thing. Yeah, I've flown with some of those. The least favorite things are the same things that are least favorite to passengers, the TSA and all the security theater that goes on. There's an awful lot of eyewash that accomplishes nothing, in my view. I mean, we fly around with the required equipment, that is far more dangerous than the little scissors they won't let us carry.
Chris was a walking encyclopedia when it came to air racing and aviation and airplanes, and anything you want to know, just ask Chris. You know, he always knew. The last races we went to, Chris treated me to the ticket to the banquet, which I really appreciated. I don't know if I ever really thanked him for that, but thank you, Chris. I appreciated that. And he also bought a ticket for a friend of mine that was with me, and so that I thought that was very nice of Chris. But Chris was always very pleasant, always nice to talk to. He was just a fine person, really.
Certainly, it's interesting to hear about how, as a captain, he deals with the challenges of various passenger issues and just the knowledge that he has of managing the entire flight and dealing with the challenges of weather, delays, all of the different things that go into making it work that for the most part the paying customer really never sees. He shows so much dedication to learning as much about the industry and the airplanes as he possibly can. I think he realizes that the more you know, the more you can plan ahead. If something does happen, you know how to deal with it, and he studies that stuff. He really researches accidents reports. He knows what happens in different flights, and he's also very aware of how the industry works. So he reads the contracts, he reads the stuff that a lot of the pilots, it doesn't affect their day-to-day life, so they don't pay that much attention to, and he very much chooses to educate himself about it.
My dad's commitment to the airlines absolutely astounds me. To go from knowing at a very young age that flying was what you wanted to do with your life and to have stuck with that path the entire time is very admirable. I have watched him make very difficult decisions in his lifetime about how to juggle having a family, having children, and his career. And from my point of view, the comments that I have are nothing but pleasant, nothing but accolades for him, because I understand, well, I'd like to think I understand some of the sacrifices that he's made, but realistically I can't even fathom. But one thing that I do know is that I admire him very much for his dedication to the aviation industry and to the airlines. And I would say my dad is absolutely my hero.
And something I've always admired about him is just how disciplined he is in his work. He takes his work very seriously, even though it brings him great joy. It's his dream. He takes it very seriously and is very thorough in safety, and especially that of his passengers, that of the aircraft. I've always really admired.
He is very dedicated. He's very serious. He's very conscientious, and he pays attention to what he is supposed to be doing, when, where, and why. And I think he has done that with his whole life.
His relationship with his coworkers has always been so good. I don't think I've ever heard him talk about people that he didn't like flying with, that he didn't like seeing advance. He liked being a line check airman because that helped other people. And that's the way he's always been, helping other people. Pretty impressive.
3 words that come to mind when I think about Chris are loyalty, brilliant, and kind.
There's a whole bunch of words. I don't know if I can come up with 3 words that can just define it, but then coming up with 3 words that do define it is hard to do as well. Honorable, probably one of the most honest. Friendship, dependability. I mean, I know if I needed him, he'd be here, and vice versa.
Regimented, totally regimented in what he did, totally dedicated to his profession. One of the best pilots I ever flew with. He definitely not only could fly an airplane just stick and rudder, but his knowledge of every airplane that he flew was always stellar, above everybody else.
I always thought of Chris as the consummate professional pilot. He had a great demeanor, very friendly. If you know Chris, his sort of affect with people is kind of unique, but it was always positive, and I always thought he was going to do great things if someone would just let him. And sure enough, that happened through Continental Express and through Continental United as he went there. So consummate professional, very friendly, personal demeanor, and I know this is more than 3 words. Just a great guy, dependable. You could always depend on him as a friend.
Very knowledgeable, very compassionate, very friendly, and always easy to talk to. He just seemed to know a little bit of everything. Just a pleasant person to be with.
One of the things that has always impressed me the most about Chris, obviously he's a very dedicated, passionate airman, but the thing that has probably always impressed me the most is how devoted he is to his kids. And, you know, to Madison, to Kenzie, he's been great to my boys. His generosity, his willingness to help, to just be there, no question.
Oregon with the kids, work in Houston or Newark, and Denver for family. So that's 1, 2, 3, burning the candle at all 3 ends.
Discipline, diligence, and I don't know, I guess the third word would be duty, because no matter how hard the struggles have been in life, he's, always gone and done what needed to be done.
Perseverant, honorable, and honestly the word integrity. I would say that's a word that we've had a lot of conversations about over the years in some of maybe my lower moments, and that's one of the things that I think really resonates with me about him is his integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's watching. I think he really embodies that.
I have been thinking a lot about the flying, and I am going to miss the actual flying part. I won't miss the TSA. The Denver Airport Administration is a nightmare too. I'm not going to miss that part. I'll miss some of the people that I've flown with, especially when you fly with them several times and you really get to know them. I'll miss that part.
Out on the peaceful sea, 73 men sailing off to history. Ride, Captain, ride upon your mystery ship. Be amazed at the friends you have here on your trip. Ride, Captain, ride upon your mystery ship. On your way to a world that others might have
I hope, Chris, I hope you know how proud your father was of you. I hope he told you he wasn't very good at that. But I really hope and pray that you knew and also know how proud I am to have you for my son.
I hope you enjoy retirement as much as I have, and I hope you're as busy as I have been.
More than anything, Brother Chris, I retired 7 years ago. Enjoy your retirement. There's more than life to work. Just enjoy it,
I would like to tell Chris to enjoy himself. For years he has given and has been in service for other people, flying people all around the world. And I want him to spend time on himself and give to himself. Because life is short, as we know, and he needs to do things that make him happy.
Happy retirement, my friend. You're never going to be so busy. I love you, man.
Chris, enjoy it, man. You're going to have fun in retirement. It's I know you're going to miss the camaraderie of all the employees, but you're into new adventures now. You're going to do new things and have more fun with your wife than you've ever had.
Yeah, Chris, congratulations. like we had talked before, I'm right behind you, and hopefully we will be able to fly the airplanes we have and the airplanes we will have together along the Front Range, kind of just like old times.
Yeah, Chris, congratulations. You've had a great career, and I know you've enjoyed most every minute of it. But I sure wish you the best, and keep the dirty side down, as they say.
Chris, it's going to be a whole new adventure with you retired. Congratulations on a very awesome career. The airlines and the commercial aircraft world will be losing a wonderful pilot and a wonderful person. Congratulations, and I'm looking forward to whatever we do next.
The commitment, the sacrifices, the journeys, the memories of everything that you have done in your career of, let's call it 40 years. It's admirable. I almost can't even put it into words how deep my feelings are for you in this massive success that you've had in your life. I mean, you're the king, so I'm very proud of you. Congratulations on your retirement. I'm very much looking forward to everything that you're going to do, as far as, gliders or golfing or whatever your heart desires. But most of all, just very grateful to have all these memories with you, and now to share aviation with you as of more recently, and, just have you as a dad. So congratulations. I love you.
Congratulations on your retirement. 39 years, let's call it 40. We're proud of you. We love you. Dad, happy retirement. This project has been absolutely amazing for me to have the opportunity to go around and meet some people that I've never met who have played such a big part in your life. I came up with this idea, in my mind, a little bit too late, because I think I could have spent a whole year or even longer going around and meeting all these people who you have impacted in your life. There's so many people that I have wanted to connect with that it just didn't work out timing wise. And I'm very grateful for everybody who was a part of this video and made time for me, whether that was in person or on their own getting these videos done. But I just wanted to tell you, the point of this video was to show you the impact that you've had on other people. You wake up and you make a conscious decision to be a good man. And, there are no words to describe just how amazing you are as a person. And as a pilot, but I've heard all these stories that you tell about other people, and the accolades and the comments you have about all these wonderful people who you've crossed paths with over the years. And I know you have an inkling of how other people think about you, but I hope this kind of broadens your viewpoint on just how much of an impact you've had on all these other people too, because Dad, you've made waves. I really do believe that you've made waves in the airline industry, even though you're only one person, albeit a very big person. You've absolutely impacted a lot of people, and that was kind of the goal with this video, was to just go around and touch base with some people who have just really been impacted by you, seen your character, reflected on those memories that they have with you, and put it all together for you. So again, happy retirement. I love you. And yay, let's call it 40.